Elon Musk has just achieved for the future of personal transportation what contemporary social philosopher and rap music demigod MC Hammer achieved for the future of personal trousers 3 decades earlier. And all it cost them was a mere $67 billion in lost market capitalisation. So, well done. And yet Tesla, with the steady hand of electric Jesus always so firmly on the tiller, remains without question a world-leading innovator. No other company has pushed contemporary automotive boundaries quite this hard, and competition in this domain has been, frankly, intense. Thank the Lord, Tesla remains dependably the best by a mile at promising, exciting-sounding technology that never happens and which will not foreseeably ever happen. I'm John Cadogan from AutoExpert.com.au. New cars cheap, but, Australia only. Website. Card. Elon Musk has been ambitiously promising pie in the sky to morons for well over a decade now, rolling out the same proven process over and over philosophically, dependably, promising us stuff that we all want, frankly. Robot servants, miraculously better batteries, the base on Mars, another round of moonshots would be awfully nice too, wouldn't it? Cars that drive themselves effortlessly from coast to coast and never get a single detail wrong, EVs with 1,000 k's of range, and computers wired directly into the brain. Someone else's brain, obviously. Even a monorail, or is that Hyperloop? Always get those mixed up. Whatever. Strip mining into this rich vein of bullshit has made Electric Jesus the world's richest dude. Hashtag respect. When I think about it, it's actually the same vein, mined over and over. So in that sense, he's also the world's most ambitious recycler, at least as I see it. He's very clever about this too. Nerdy, but compelling. The real genius here is the claimed timeframes for these unprecedented gambits. The timeframes are Goldilocks, dude. Nothing boldly prick-teased is ever so far away as to be perceived as intangibly far off. It has to be almost in reach, but not so close as to require a single shred of evidence of any real technical progress in that particular direction. It's such a delicate balance to strike, and he is always Goldilocks. Mainly, I think, for the hype, to keep the investors committed next year, late next year, or even early the following year, over and over. 2026 for sure, dude. Just like the humans on Mars by 2024. If you say that back in the Goldilocks zone, you are a genius entrepreneur and nothing can get in your way. Like, who's going to fact check you later? If Toyota, General Motors or Ford tried this, monotonously failing to deliver over and over, they would, of course, be crucified, even by the domesticated motoring media. But the promises of Electric Jesus are simply not accountable to retrospective scrutiny of this nature. Unfortunately, though, I fear that cracks are starting to appear in Electric Jesus's bullshit recycling repertoire. Correction. His bullshit repertoire is still at the absolute top of its game, in my view. He is still the best. But it seems to me people investing in Tesla are less receptive to his bullshit lately. Herd immunity might finally be kicking in. After recycling the same tired horse shit philosophically at Warner Brothers recently, in an event nakedly ripped from Isaac Asimov called We Robot, investors called bullshit on the whole farce and ran away from Tesla stock, wiping $67 billion off the company's market capitalization. And that was after Tesla's senior thought bubble model makers, try saying that fast, went to the trouble of painting the wheels on the brand new cleverest toy ever gold. They went to all that trouble, and yet here we are, $67 billion poorer. Bastard. bastards. It appears there might actually be a statute of limitations on even Elon Musk's premium bullshit. And if there is, he just apparently overstepped it. This video is brought to you by the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver from manscaped.com. Manscaped, of course, proudly accelerating evolution by differentiating we more discerning gents from the apes with whom we share a common ancestor. I've allowed myself to get even more hobo than usual on the facial front for this one, and let the new Chairman Pro just sort this mess out. The new Manscaped Chairman Pro has a 360-degree contouring head with 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads. The skin-safe 4-blade foil for that super close shave, think job interview, wedding, that kind of thing, and the skin-safe stubble trimmer for edgier assignments, such as, I don't know, a zombie apocalypse or divorce. Both are designed to reduce razor burn and irritation. The blades just map themselves onto the contours of one's face and neck, helping you maintain optimal skin contact at every angle. There's even a precision lock when you want to keep the blade heads in place with 3 preset indexed positions, so you can turn the terrain following on or off at will. Plus, it's waterproof, so you can use it in the shower, which streamlines everything. The Chairman Pro is easily grunty enough to tackle up to a 5-day growth. It's coping quite okay with today's jungle, I note. So you can shave every day in a normal week, or you can just tidy up quickly for a meeting or whatever after dealing with a troublesome 5-day zombie infestation in the basement. You get up to 75 minutes of runtime on a single charge and convenient USB-C recharging. The Chairman Pro even has a travel lock to prevent accidental in-bag activation and an LED spotty up the front to literally highlight the terrain ahead. That's a host of advanced features which allowed me to upgrade from hobo to hero, or at least halfway there, in just a few minutes on the Chairman Pro's very first outing. And this is like 10 days growth too, which is double the official stubble knockdown rating of the Chairman Pro. So there's that. I'm going to stop here and just whip up the shops and casually walk around for a bit and see if anyone notices. So we'll go back to hobo me to finish things off. Go to manscaped.com/autoexpert now and use promo code AEJC to get 20% off plus free shipping. That's 20% off plus free international shipping with promo code AEJC at manscaped.com/autoexpert. Upgrade yourself from hobo to hero today with the Chairman Pro from Manscaped. Your face, and of course, everyone you choose to inflict it upon, will thank you. Okay, so what did we actually get from this We Robot event? Well, we got 2 breathtaking new concept vehicles, both of which are completely impractical and which will almost certainly never be manufactured. Plus, we got an update on Optimus, Tesla's fake autonomous robot, which bears a name seemingly ripped unashamedly from the Transformers movie franchise, and quote-unquote skin seemingly ripped straight from the iRobot movie franchise. More on that at the end. The movie's director, an Australian, seemingly not happy, Jan. Tesla, of course, just laid off 14,000 staff, didn't it? And cannot actually sell all of the aging inventory it does produce, despite heavily discounting them and trashing, therefore, the faith and resale value of its existing cult members. Bullshit production, however, thankfully unabated. Steadfast commitment there, dude. Did we get an exciting new compact affordable game-changing EV, or even a long-awaited new Tesla performance flagship, or even a slightly less shit Cybertruck facelift? Same old railway urinal you've always wanted to take your kids to the school in, only with tantalisingly less pathetic detail design. No, we didn't get any of that. The headline act was this non-existent piece of hastily concocted robot car shit dubbed the Cybercab. I can't even come up with new fake prefixes. Cyber and robo, over and over. Cybercab is a 2-seat concept stage, allegedly fully autonomous taxi with no controls whatsoever for a human driver. And gold fucking wheels. Gold wheels are as dated as MC Hammer's poo-catching trousers, dude. Just saying. So even if this abomination could ultimately be packaged with non-existent full automation and deployed on time, and he did promise 2026, and if you believe that, I'm sure I could sell you a timeshare in the upcoming base on Mars. Even if he could do all of that, it's still a fail as a mass market taxi. Because, look at it, dude, maximum of 2 paying passengers. So, not much good if you're heading off to some sleazy motel for a 3-way, or taking the family to the airport. I don't judge individuals or their transportation conduct. I'm just saying for the foreseeable spectrum of in-taxi logistic intercourse, this shitbox is somewhat impractical. Electric Jesus also promised the miracle of seemingly endless uptime for the Cybercab, claiming that the aging, useless pieces of Tesla shit you can buy today are typically only used for 10 hours or so every week, when they're not broken or on fire, obviously. But the Cybercab could be operational for, quote, maybe 10 times more. Imagine that. 10 hours a week times 10 is 100 hours a week for the Cybercab. So let's say it averages 30 Ks an hour in traffic. That's 3,000 Ks a week. Let's call it 160,000 Ks a year, which is 100,000 miles in America. I wonder what the lifespan of a Cybercab used in this manner might be. 2 years, maybe, if you're lucky. The Lord decreed that a Cybercab would be about $30,000 and again, he recycled the same old horse shit that full autonomy would both save lives and prevent injuries, sometime in the future, just like fusion power and, the base. The evidence, however, suggests that when self-driving AI fucks up, which it inevitably will, said upfucks are of the monumental news bulletin leading variety, even if the number of mistakes is arguably less than that which is made by the median human driving imbecile. The upfucks an AI car makes are going to be quite entertaining, that's almost certain. It's going to be a real side splitter at the pearly gates, isn't it? Ah, yes, I see, Mr. Smith. No, you are actually dead. You were just asleep when you checked out. Sorry you missed it. Endless replays, of course, available downstairs, dude, on the in-house infotainment system. Off you go. Take that door on the right. There's a good chap. What we didn't get at this Warner Brothers event was, the boring stuff. A business plan or information about tooling up a production line or a declaration that the impediments to unsupervised full self-driving had all finally been solved with regulatory and legal integration framework in place. Also, no concrete intel on where Cybercab actually is on the R&D timeline. And the correct answer there, I'm tipping, obviously, nowhere. Conclusion. Cybercab is another investor relations thought bubble. It's vaporware, dude. It's the loaves and the fishes, only no meal for the masses at the very end. While he was down there at Warner Brothers, the Lord also delivered this remarkable piece of automotive styling, seemingly an Art Deco toaster inspired by, wait for it, the iRobot movie franchise. How creative. It's meant to be a minibus, right? Which Musk calls a, quote, robovan. Thank God for endlessly recyclable, lame prefixes. Just a couple of minor issues with this one. They're fairly obvious. No windows. Seems like a bit of an oversight, because people I know generally appreciate looking out the windows when vehicles move. It helps make sense of the inertial forces experienced by one's inner ear, doesn't it? And therefore, significantly less time is wasted with needless projectile vomiting en route. Also, no ground clearance, no approach, departure or ramp over angles to speak of, and no way for the steering wheels to articulate left or right without hitting the internal bits of the body, unless, the track is ridiculously narrow. This is a small bus with remarkably ripped-off styling, well done there, but sadly lacking any of the surprise and delight features of every other fucking conventional bus on Earth, such as proper steering and a view of what's outside. So, unless the grand plan here is to take, say, 20 of your closest friends from one end of an international airstrip to the other in a heavy fog, then this robo-van contraption might just need an ever so subtle do-over. An unkind person might say it's a fucking joke, and to be perfectly frank, I'm not feeling exactly overcome in the kindness department at this point in time. It's almost like they had an event planned to fellate investor confidence, but nothing of any substance to show, isn't it? And this was the best they could do in the limited time available with, 14,000 fewer staff available to assist. And finally, there was a critical update on Optimus, the fake robot you've always wanted, ever since the very first episode of Lost in Space. And not the piece of shit Netflix one either, dude, the original Lost in Space in black and white. Pop quiz there. Judy from Lost in Space or Ginger from Gilligan's Island? Or Ellie Mae from the Beverly Hillbillies? Who is it, dude? Survey says Marianne. Every time. Try to keep up. According to the Lord, who is never wrong on matters such as this, the divine tip is 30 grand for your very own robot when it eventually gets here, which will be, approximately never, plus 2 standard deviations. I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind. I would argue that Optimus is already the biggest product ever, at least in a sense. When you think about what Tesla actually manufactures and delivers on a daily basis, over and over, like in that context, Optimus is the biggest load of it ever. Optimus is beyond just export grade. Tesla depicts Optimus boldly liberating you from basically everything onerous, wiping the kitchen bench, so menial, watering pot plants, who needs it, and even mingling with guests whom you presumably detest. Could be quite handy for the in-laws at Christmas. So liberating. You just sit there and get hammered while Optimus makes nice with mommy-in-law. I could use that. Tesla could be building better electric cars, of course. That's pretty obvious. It could build newer ones with, more contemporary sex appeal than the aging pieces of shit on showroom floors now. And, of course, this is just a suggestion, and I'm hardly the world's richest dude, so what would I know? So anyway, after EJ's Warner Brothers We Robot bullshit extravaganza, Tesla hilariously shat the bed to the tune of 9% of its market capitalization, because investors really were that impressed. Even when Electric Jesus declared that today's Uber driver could morph tantalizingly into tomorrow's manager of a fleet of cybercabs in the manner that a, quote, excuse me, shepherd tends his flock. He actually said that. I don't believe it. Let me assure you, it's authentically challenging not to vomit ever so slightly in the back of one's throat, just uttering those words. The way a shepherd tends his flock. It's one thing for an award-winning Australian investigative shitstirrer to call someone electric Jesus. It's quite another to behave as if that's a genuine endorsement. Far too much flock tending at Tesla right at the moment, I would argue, and insufficient development of new EVs. I suspect that this is a zero-sum proposition, because the more one sits at one's desk energetically tending, one's flock, the less work inevitably gets done. And this has always been the case for me. Anyway, We Robot turned out to be a real barbed wire enema for Tesla's bottom line again, but it's not as if there's not an upbeat and cheery silver lining from having the anus of one's net worth invaded in this somewhat prickly way. Check it out, dude. One of these men, right, is a renowned creative genius at the top of his game, a total high achiever whose ambitious work is widely respected. The other is, of course, Elon Musk. The one who's not Uncle Elon is Alex Proyas, who directed I, Robot way back in 2004. Mr. Proyas is an Australian, so like the rest of us, he's kind of used to living in a world where funnel web spiders rain from the sky at a moment's notice unpredictably. The Bureau of Meteorology has been repeatedly no help in this department, so I suppose conjuring up Asimov's future nightmare hellscape of dystopia wasn't actually that hard for Mr. Proyas, but in any case, he did it fairly well. The Proy took to X, ironically enough, and pilloried its owner with the following compendium of images, half of which were from his movie, with the counterfactual balance being from the more recent Warner Brothers investor horseshit shindig. The Proy offered the following caption for anyone riding the special bus, Robovan, obviously, who couldn't perhaps see the parallels, mainly because, it doesn't have any fucking windows, does it? Hey, Elon, can I have my designs back, please? Here, and fair enough, your Proyness. I get where you're coming from, dude. This is, to me at least, what $67 billion in design rip-offs looks like. At least that's just how it seems to me. And some of you are going to be outraged, I know, by my ongoing heresy in this department. Grievance culture, so obviously a thing these days, I respect that. And although I can't actually muster up a single fuck to give in respect of someone else's offence on essentially anything, I am happy to assist you here and now. I'd suggest that if you are sitting there with your hair in a frickin' bun, wearing your skinny jeans with the cuffs turned up to mid-shin, and just ever so slightly cranky, it's kind of like this. In the future, when your grandkids look up the history of Tesla on Wikipedia, say, in the 50s or the 60s, and I'm talking about the 2050s or 60s, not the 1950s or 60s, obviously, this Warner Brothers event, and I would argue a similar sequence of upcoming bullshit events, are going to mark the waypoints en route to Tesla becoming something like BYD's Lexus. Old-timers who were once young, metrosexual Tesla fanboys back in the 20s are going to be shaking their fists angrily at the sky while they speculate at length about what might have been if only Uncle Elon had kept 1 foot here in reality and spent just a small fraction of available funds developing EVs that actual customers wanted to buy. Because at that time, he did still have his grubby little hands on the world's then most marketable electric vehicle brand. I'm sure there's a fanboy out there now shouting his opprobrium at this sacrilege of mine into the glass teat. I do hope so. If you are that indignant electric Kool-Aid sipper, I just offer you 2 things in closing, okay? Firstly, I can't hear you, dude, but it is awfully nice for me to imagine someone so impossibly engaged by this awesome video. Thanks very much for that. Do keep it up, because the algorithm loves you for it, dude, as do I. And lastly, look up the history of MG and, I don't know, the history of Volvo or Aston Martin or Jaguar, Land Rover, Mini, Lamborghini, etc. And then get back to me. None of those acquisitions seemed even remotely likely either, back when those brands were in their heydays. BYD bails Tesla out for pennies on the dollar, or maybe it's going to be the Shanghai Automotive Investment Corporation. I don't care. Tesla can be LDV and MG's biatch. I can't wait to do that report. Such an event would make the $65 billion implosion of Madoff investment securities back in 2008 look little more than like a fluffer on the set of a low-budget pornographic movie. And it's more than conceivable too, isn't it? Tesla's inevitable, let's call it repositioning, is going to happen well before that base on Mars or full self-driving, before cybercab or robovan, and certainly many years before you can buy a lifelike aftermarket Mary Ann bolt-on accessory upgrade kit for Optimus 1.0.